Welcome everybody. This is what's wrong with Richard Rushfield. Sorry for had a little technological uh, difficulties here. The heart is strong, but the tech is weak sometimes. It's a little difficulty getting going, but we are here, and we're thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to be here with our guest. I'm gonna embarrass you and read your official biography. Which sums it up because you
that I likely wrote myself and somebody gave to you.
uh, that's better than well you've got to there's a lot of proper nouns to squeeze into a biography. So
Yeah.
again, our guest today on What's Wrong with Richard Rushfield is winning filmmaker, writer, and actor Kimmy Gatewood, who was at the director's helm of the July release of Disney's Descendants, Wicked Wonderland, the newest installment of the massively successful Disney franchise, Descendants franchise, which I can attest in my household is in fact massively successful under this very roof. While the film marks one of Kimmy's biggest directing projects to date, her path there is includes starting from new improv in New York at UCB as part of the cult musical comedy trio the Apple Sisters, before building one of the strongest comedy directing resumes in television through incredible list of shows that you've worked on. So many great projects, including for Girls for Eva. Does he say Girls for Eva or Girls for Eva? I can't remember.
Girls Five Eva.
Girls Five Eva. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
A great show that I watch and love. I can't remember how to pronounce it. Glow, Babysitters Club, Muppets Mayhem, Ghosts, Single Drunk Female, the fantastic Single Drunk Female, and no less than Sesame Street, where she won a daytime Emmy for directing. At a moment when there's so we welcome to our show the very great, very accomplished, and impressive list of credits, Kimmy Gatewood. Thank you for coming to join us today, and thank you for bearing with the travails of technology to get you here.
No, I very much appreciate it. I do miss in person so much, but I do appreciate that I get to meet so many new people through the technology. It's people that you wouldn't normally get to have conversations with. So it's a pleasure, and shout out to your listeners. It's so nice that they're joining us.
Thank you all for joining us and coming in. By the way, if you have comments or questions, please throw them out in the live chat there, and we will get to them. So, so here I'm just talking to the most interesting people in the world about what's going on in the place. But I want to the path from improv to directing these giant tent poles and working on these huge celebrated shows. How did all this happen to you, Kimmy?
Well, I started off. I'm from a small town in Maryland, so it didn't come maybe the like completely naturally. My dad was a contractor, my mom was an accountant, uh, and I loved television. I used to sit and when Comedy Central first came on, I would be up at midnight watching stand up and short attention span theater and the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys. Like I
What do you
was
think were your first comedy influences? What really connected with comedy for when you were young? What made you think comedy was something special to you?
well, my dad's one of 13 kids, so I had a lot of aunts and uncles, and like our love language was just comedy and like making fun of each other and talking. And I would put shows on for them, and they would suffer through them, I'm sure. But they I think that when you can make somebody laugh, that's better than a smile, a hug, whatever. It's like just like the best feeling in the world because you're getting like that whatever inward reaction they're having, it has to like expel out. So, and I think since it's somewhat involuntary, it's just like it just. It meant a lot to my family, so it meant a lot to me. So I just was enamored by comedy. So I watched Saturday Night Live, the years when like Dana Carvey and Mike Myers were on, and and then continued on to like the Molly Shannon. I loved Saturday Night Live. I loved watching stand up. I begged my mom for 25 bucks once to donate to Comic Relief when Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, and Billy Crystal were hosting, so that I could get a Comic Relief T-shirt. I just, I just loved it. It feels like a magic trick, and as I got to do it, just like I guess with like any sport, I just became obsessed with getting better and would workshop stuff with friends and other kids, and yeah, and eventually it led me to I did improv in
So
high school
so you were
and stuff. And
you were thinking about this as an actual career way back when you were in high school there. It's
well, it's funny. I wasn't thinking about it as a career. I didn't really know if it was a thing you could do. I mean, you see movie stars in like Entertainment Weekly or whatever, and you're like, that looks fun. I'd like to do that one day, but it doesn't really seem like I was going to be a biomedical research major at University of Maryland. And then I auditioned for the theater program at Syracuse University, and I said to myself, probably to my mother's chagrin, if I get into Syracuse for theater, it's probably a sign I should do theater.
and when you presented it to your parents, like I've got you between biomedical research or improv, where
Yeah.
what was their reaction on that?
Surprisingly, they were incredibly supportive. They've always been. I mean, like maybe in the back of their head, they were just like, I don't know what she's going to be doing for money. but they were so supportive. And I feel very lucky. I got it would have cost the same, school wise, because I got a bunch of academic scholarships to go to either one. So they just let me chase my dreams. I think I've always been a free spirit
Mhm.
in like my family. Um, my brother and sister have gone on to do more traditional jobs, and I've kind of done my own thing, and they were just kind of like, "Go ahead."
So I am fascinated though
Either.
by people who they say the number one fear phobia that people have is public speaking, and under the banner
Yeah.
of public speaking, I think the most scary thing is improv. And I've spent a lot of my life around like a lot of comedians, and I've watched stand-up comedy. I've watched a lot of improv, and there's 0% of me that has it's like watching an astronaut. It's like I'm so impressed by it and enthralled, but like there's 0% of me is like, oh, I want to get up and do that. Yeah, I should go blast off to the moon and have a giant rocket explode
I
under
feel
me.
like you'd be good at it.
I
I
I
used to teach a level 0 improv class. It was for people who were like, I don't want to do improv ever in my life. So it's like people in business or whatever. And you find out like, oh, you discover a lot about yourself. It's kind of like, kindergarten for performing, but it's like really fun. And you realize like you do have the ability to remember names, to like, trust yourself, I guess. It's just like that little voice you just have to ignore that's like, you're not good enough, or like, don't say that. It'll sound stupid. It's just like a lot of learning to ignore the little monster in your head.
I find the benefit of age is that the phobias that I haven't worked through at this point, I'm willing to just go with them and go like I spent many years going on roller coasters uh, with people because I was afraid to look like a coward and afraid to affair. And somewhere early in my kids' life, they're 12 more years. She was like, you know what? I have a it is a nightmare for me being on a roller coaster, and I don't care if my children think I'm a coward. I don't care what they think. I will happily take them to the Magic Mountain and stand at the exit, but I'm not going on these damn things. And that is how I feel about improv. Uh, but that I just like, we're too late in the road for me to work through this one now. But you somehow never had you were doing improv in high school, so you somehow never had that fear, that phobia, which fascinates me.
Well, I think what's interesting about like performing in general, and I don't know if other performers feel this way, but when you're in high school and you're young, you kind of have no fear, right? Like I was watching um Whose Line Is It Anyway? I loved it so much, and I was like admired them and wanted to be like them. So I just like tried to emulate them at every like chance I could. So I put on an improv show during intermission of high school plays, and then I got involved in college and I did it at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. It was just something that like I wanted to do. And then when I got to New York, more nerve wracking, and I would get nervous. I remember very specifically Brigade Theater, like I could barely speak on stage, and I was like, I've been doing this since I was like 13 years old. Like, what is my problem? But I think like once you, it's like the boy in the mirror or whatever. It's like once you kind of realize that you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I am funny. You're like, uh oh, I'm now
Mhm.
you. Then you have to almost start all over again, and teach yourself to be a performer for like the marathon, and
Right.
the craft of it, if you will, rather than just like the I love this and I love to do it,
So what was what was life like when you when you were young? You were in UCB there in New York, and you and breaking into this, getting stuff. Did you at that point see this as a career? Were you thinking about how I make this work, or how did you pursue it from there?
Yeah, I mean, after theater school, I went straight to New York and just started doing like open calls. So I would go in for like these Broadway plays or off Broadway shows and commercial auditions and stuff. And was, as one does in this industry as an actor, you get a lot of rejections. And like the rejections were kind of getting to me, which is why I started taking classes at the UCB and the Pit and Chicago City Limits. I just wanted to be around like-minded people and play, and also the benefit of comedy and live performance on these smaller stages is that you'll get on stage every night. That's the great thing about
Yeah.
comedy, is that you're just constantly workshopping. So I would basically have the opportunity to get on stage and perform every single night and watch other performers, I think, which was great. And that's when I started to kind of like nurture more my director's eye, because I would put on shows and then I would work with solo performers. So there was a woman named Kirsten Ames, who's now a manager, but at the time she was working at the Westbeth Theater. She did Mark Maron's one man show, and she invited me and a couple of other people, like Eric Appel, who's now a really a big television and film director, um, to watch solo performers and give them notes and help them develop um, their show. And then I ended up directing their shows and helping develop their shows as well. So it was because I was doing improv. I was putting myself out there, and I think the real key to like success in this business is like, if you want something, don't wait around for someone to hand it to you. Like, just put yourself out there, and it might not be like exactly how you pictured it, like, but it's important to just keep going and stay active, which is what I love about comedy.
This is so important, and it's I when I think of all the burgeoning entertainment careers that fell by the wayside, or just the importance of just do something. Just don't sit
Mhm.
waiting for the things to come together and everything to happen. Just every day do something, and it makes you the more you do, the better you get at it, and the as you say, the getting your reps in, and the how much that trains you, and just also all the breakthroughs in my life just came from not ways I had planned, just because I was doing messing around with something fun, and it ended up turning into something great, and was never but that matters a lot. So did you start to see yourself as a director at that point, or how did you get
Not really. Not I kind of like, I just wanted people, like actors and the performers that I was working with, to have like a positive experience with whatever they were doing, because I had had some, I mean, like up and down experiences as an actor where I didn't feel supported and you kind of feel lost, especially like when you're just starting out or you're doing something vulnerable. And so I kind of viewed myself as just like, I just want you to like feel like you know what's going on. And like, I didn't call it directing though. And I also didn't really know that it was like a viable career, because as a commercial actor or whatever, the director, you don't really have access to them. And in theater, I was doing more like live comedy, so we would be like coaching each other, which is essentially directing.
Mhm.
Um, and it wasn't really until I moved to Los Angeles that I really started to recognize that directing was something that I wanted to do for real, because I had been told kind of by various, reps, agents, and managers that it was too hard to break into. And I was like, but I'm an actor. That's the hardest one
Mhm.
to break into. And again, just like you just got to keep doing it, I took those no's and put them into talking to my comedy friends and starting to make like sketches and music videos. So I worked with people like Rachel Bloom. I mean, I've made videos for the Apple Sisters. I made a
Yeah,
documentary film called Dirt
I wanted
Horizon.
to ask you about the Apple sisters there, which for those that don't know now, a amazing and hilarious. And you were one of a trio of like the Andrew sisters or a
Yeah.
1940s singing ensemble there, and I was watching them last night and I was just struck by, you look on TikTok now and it's just people like telling you about their bad date or riding a skateboard into a wall or something. And these are incredibly elaborate, fully conceived productions, yet with original music, with choreography, with complex editing and all that. So how did all that happen? The,
Um, Well, as the story drones on about me just being like, I need to do something. It was one of those. So I met Rebecca Johnson. We were both teachers at the Pit, and we were the only female teachers. And people kept saying like, you guys should work together. We're like, well, just because we're women, we should work together. And then I made this joke, like a comedy pinup calendar, which my God, I wish that I could like find all those files again. And she thought it was the funniest thing she ever saw. And I saw her in a sketch show, and I thought she was the funniest person I ever met. And so we decided to work together. And then she was also friends with Sarah Lowe, our third sister. And she's like, I can't do two shows. We got to do one show. So I really was obsessed with the 1940s because I feel like it's a great way to do satire. It's also like you can do song and dance, like ironically and unironically. And we knew we wanted to do a musical. Sarah's grandma was the famous Broadway dancer Ruby Keeler,
oh,
and
really?
then Rebecca. Yeah, and Rebecca comes from like pranks and like reality like stuff, and is sketch comedy and improv. And she's like, let's make it a variety show. So we called ourselves the Apple Sisters Variety Show, and we did a brand new show every month for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And then we which was like I look
That's a
back.
lot. That a lot of work went into each of those 10-minute pieces. That's amazing.
Well, they were like 30, the live shows were 30-minute shows that had three songs, new songs every month. So we would be doing one show every once a week, and in between we'd be writing and rehearsing the next show so that the next month we could bring up a new show. It was like we weren't making any money doing this. I just want to reiterate that we were all like, I was working at a bar, they were babysitting, I was doing like temp work, and we would just use all of the money that we had and put it into the Apple Sisters.
I mean, it looks like you. I mean, you look at them now. It looks like these things had a budget of $5 million every episode. There, it's like it's really impressive. Did good
Thanks.
things, and besides, obviously you learned a lot doing that and putting all that together. But did good things ensue or arise out of that? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So while I was doing the Apple Sisters, I was also making a documentary film called Nerdcore Rising. It's about this MC Frontalot, who's a nerdcore hip hop artist. And so I had just kind of learned how to use a camera and do sound and stuff like that. I taught myself, and we raised money to make this documentary film. So I started making like these videos for the Apple Sisters, and we caught the attention of the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. which was the biggest festival at the time. I think now you'd probably equate it to like the Netflix is a Joke festival, but the Montreal Just Comedy Festival is coming back. And in fact,
Oh, it
I'm
is.
seeing some events next week. Yeah.
Okay. That,
So
I mean, that
I'm
would be
thrilled to
huge.
go back, and yeah, I'm so excited to go back and give back to something that changed my life. But we went there, and this was in 2008, and we didn't have agents or managers at the time. Um, and we were doing a show that was directed by Bob Odenkirk, and it had Casey Wilson and Paul Rust in it as well, and two really funny groundlings. And then there was two or three other sketch groups that were performing. So this was like the sketch comedy showcase. And so Bob very kindly, like worked with us, and we had this moment when on our second show where, we're three-part harmony, our mics went out like for one of the girls. So we were like, "Can you hear us?" And so like this is just when we're getting started in front of like this crowd of industry people, and we basically improvised our way out of this kind of disaster land because it was so funny. And like basically that night we went out and were approached by every big agent and
Oh,
manager. Like Judd Apatow ended up putting us in Bridesmaids, the movie, and like and we did Conan, and it was a really big moment for us. And it was this, self-generated project that we did, that like took us places that I never would have dreamed of. And like we were also the cast director from Glow saw us in New York probably, years before, but had us and Rebecca and I in mind for Glow and asked us to audition together as a duo.
oh,
So,
the
these things just they continue to like, echo throughout your
I mean,
lifetime.
it
If
just like I say, whenever someone has had for me a kind of coherent career path, like do this thing and then it will lead to that,
yeah.
and then you do that for 3 years and then you can be eligible to apply for the like that has never worked out for me. But uh, I think if you're a creative person, like the only thing you can do is like follow your passion and do. If you're doing things that you are passionate about, you will be doing your best work, and trust
Mhm.
that will lead to things. And I love those stories when people do it. So the we got to get into your directing career, right? I've taken up the full time that I promised to keep you for, and we're just on the doorstep of your directing career now. So, what you talk about be going from being a comedian and performer to directing these TV shows, which is a very kind of technical, formal process in TV. How do you make that transition? Then is that a pathway from comedian to director that makes sense? Or
I mean, I think the best way to become a director, if I like would give advice, is just like try to get on many sets as possible. So for me, that was being an actor, right? I would also do independent stuff, but as an actor, I was on sets quite a bit, and I would see how each of them worked and how different they were. Like something like Conan works very differently than something like Glow, or like any or like even just like the I did this show called Fred, which is like a Nickelodeon show. That was very different from whatever. So you see how different kind of each set functions. And um and then when I did I got my first job, so I did this short film called Control with my writing partner Allison Becker, and I'd also directed a YouTube Red series called Hyperlinked, which was 10 episodes of 22-minute episodes. Those were all it was non-union, but it was a great, like it was like a great group of people that I've done a lot of sketch comedy with. And then between those three things and Glow, the notoriety of being on Glow, I got my first DGA job, which is a show called Just Set Magic. And so it's like like a very elevated kid show, kind of inspired by Spielberg. So it has all these cool, like it's just like very beautiful and cool shots and practical magic, stuff like that. And I was very lucky enough to have an AD that understood that this was my first, big job. And he's like, Kimmy, if you go, like, don't worry about it. Cause I was really nervous about this 10-hour day that I had to hit. He's like, you know what, Kimmy, nobody's going to remember the like extra half an hour that you went over. They're going to remember if it's a great episode. So just, remember, like, you're trying to make a great episode of
Mm.
television. And I'm not trying to keep people like hostage on the set forever, but, it was my first time. I didn't quite have my timing yet. And,
So you marched in there, first time director, and said, "Bad news, everybody. Tell your babysitters you're not coming home tonight. Everyone, this is I'm got some stuff to work through, and we're if that takes us till dawn, then so be it."
no, 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 he kept me on schedule, believe me. But he didn't want me to stress about it so much. But he was very kind and walked me through everything, and like it was me learning. Like, I didn't even know what like concept meeting or tone meeting was when I first walked in. I kind of asked everybody, and I still just didn't fundamentally really understand what it was, but I wasn't afraid to ask questions because I was like, listen, like, if we want to do a good job, I just have to tell you what I do and don't know. And then sometimes I faked my way through it, and it worked out just fine.
So one thing that stands out looking at your resume is, this is a time people talk about this this time like comedy has died or comedy
Mhm.
is in in eclipse, and certainly in feature films it has gone away. But you've been part of a lot of shows that are like pantheon uh pantheon shows, and extremely funny. And if you looked at just those shows and said, "Oh, if that's what's going on here, that feels like a very rich time for comedy." Did you feel like comedy was dead, and there was nothing to do with it while you're working on all these great shows? Glow, Girls Five Eva, and Single Drunk Female, I mean, all the, and even the Muppets revivals are really great comedy. It's how did you feel about the state of comedy while you were doing all this?
I mean, I feel like I it's always hard, right, when you're like in the art, and it's a difficult time right now for our industry as a whole, I would say. Comedy finds a way to sneak through the cracks. Like when I first came to LA, I was working at Maker Studios, which was doing a lot of YouTube stuff, right? So this was non-traditional media and a lot of comedy. I was working with some of the best comedy writers in the world. And we were just making stuff. And I feel like, there seems to be this like cyclical thing that's happening, right? It's like if you want comedy, you go to right now it's social media, but now YouTube is coming around and people are building a following, and you can see live shows. It's just like maybe comedy isn't going through like the traditional television model or studio model, but it is and does exist, because, we need satire, we need, laughs, and I do try to infuse comedy in everything that I do. So, yes, I would say like perhaps like there was a heyday, but I'm sure nobody even knew that it was a heyday of comedy. and until looking at it afterwards. So we might look back at this and be like, "Oh, all the comedy was on YouTube, and like people were doing it, and thousands and millions of people were watching it." Or, but the streaming like boom in the 2010s really gave voice to a lot of things that maybe wouldn't have made it on traditional comedy, and I'm so like just proud to have been a part of a lot of those like groundbreaking shows, and that I really wish that they had got to stay on there a little bit longer. And going forward, I'm definitely just looking to nurture young talent because we need to like encourage the next generation to want to be funny. So I'm like right now jumping on projects that maybe have little to no budget, but I just believe in the show so much or the project, and think that it's really important to nurture, these voices and stuff.
That is great. What are you doing? How do you go about nurturing them? What's the nurturing?
Well, oftentimes, someone will reach out to me, or they'll be looking for advice, or I'll be introduced by somebody, in a kind of a mentorship role, and I'm like, send me something if you want me to look at it. I'm happy to, and if like a couple of things caught my eye, um, and so I'm going to be developing, shows with these young talent, and hope like the YouTube model that's happening right now. I've also just put myself out there as somebody who just wants to, help create these things. Like maybe not necessarily people wouldn't I wouldn't be the first call because I'd be like, oh my gosh, she's done, whatever television show, and wouldn't even consider it. But would love to consider it because I think it's just really important to keep the internet and comedy weird and fun and cool. And so it doesn't necessarily come with a paycheck or like the budget, but maybe you you have to be the one to like forge the way, and can't be the one to wait for somebody to tell you what they want.
Yeah, so important. And honestly, for directors, I don't know how someone can be a director without the comedy instinct. I mean, it's so important, like that sense of timing and just that ability to inject to have a full palette that you can inject that kind of. There are some I won't talk about them. There are some very prominent, accomplished, celebrated directors who have who do great things, have great eyes, a great sense of story, do other things, but have no sense of humor. And I can never love their work. Like I can never, I can appreciate or respect it, but I can never. So I think that is so important. The and so okay, so I have kept you now 10 minutes, 11 minutes beyond how long I promised, not including even the technical hurdles. So before we go, we need to talk about your giant mega project. You have the new the latest feature film in Disney TV's Descendants series. This is a series much loved. I have a 12-year-old daughter who has watched each of them. You should probably have a limit, like say 3 times per household, and then you're cut off or something. But I'm sure this one will be in heavy rotation for a long time. Tell me about coming onto this project and what that was like, and how you went through it.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest project I've ever worked on, first franchise I've ever worked on. Truthfully, it was very intimidating at first, but it was kind of one of those things that felt so big that I just had to kind of go for it in my big pitch. And then they liked my take on this chapter of the franchise, and it just kind of gave me permission to go for it. So I really put my heart into it, and it takes so long. It took 2 years, from when I pitched it to when it's coming out now. And that was a really
And
interesting experience, to be
did you
in with a movie for that long.
in that 2 years? You do other? Did you direct anything else, or has this been your entire focus?
Yeah, I did 2 seasons of Going Dutch. It was a Fox show that got canceled, sadly, but starred Dennis Leary, and we shot that in Ireland, and it was the best cast. And Taylor Mishek, Danny Pudi, and it was just like so many amazing people. Um, but they, yeah. So, but uh, yeah, it was big. But to be able to, I worked with one of the actors when she was 12 years old on Babysitters Club. So this is a real like sweet
Wow.
moment for us to kind of be reunited, and it was. I just made sure to like, even though it's a big budget movie, it still takes a lot of, you still have to put your whole heart into it, and like still call upon favors and stuff to get these things made. And I put together a team who's just really passionate about making practical sets, about really challenging themselves. Like, we got in 9 numbers, which they've only ever done 8 musical numbers in Descendants movies at the most. And but I just felt like every song was so important and told a real story. That, I mean, it was really important to the story, and so we figured out magical ways. And I definitely, because of my TV and scrappy comedy background, you're able to make some magic happen and work fast when you need to.
It really is the ideal background for. I mean, for people who don't. But no, finding. I mean that's what comedy is like, milking the entertainment out of every second there and working through every single line to make just not have any dead moments, and that's the essence of comedy for me, and that's such an important skill there. So the so do you would you're ready for another big tent pole, or do you want to go back to?
I am I definitely am ready. I think this movie has proved to myself that I can build big worlds and tell big stories and to a big audience, and it's something I I was maybe a little afraid to do because you're definitely put yourself in a vulnerable position the more people that watch your stuff, But I'm ready to take the leap. I would love to do some big things, and then as I'm known to do, I can't help myself. Every day has to be filled, so I'm sure I'll find some little random project or short film or whatever to do on the side because
I'm
never
sure
stop
many,
creating.
yeah, I'm sure many of them are going to find you too. Yeah, because you're on a hot streak, Kimmy Gatewood. So keep it going. Thank you so much. I've kept you, I think, twice as long as I promised, not including the technical shenanigans here. Um, but
It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I really appreciate all your very thoughtful questions.
well, come again anytime. The door's open. It's really fun talking to you. Kimmy Gatewood is our guest, doing my Larry King voice. And Disney's Descendants: Wicked Wonderland is a film. Take watch it right now on your Hulu channels, all that. And it's been so good to meet you and talk to you. And thanks for bearing with our technical difficulties here and all that.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everybody.
We'll
All
see you
right, see you
soon.
later.
Take care.
Okay, bye.